Hello and welcome to We Will Manage, the podcast exploring the weird and wonderful world of work. We are two young professionals figuring out our careers one conversation at a time. Today, we're talking about the art of communication.
So, stick around to find out if you're a rambler or a know-it-all, how to deal with them if you're not, and how bluffing is the best communication tactic. It's fine. I just wanted to start recording because I want to chat.
Okay, I'm excited. I want to chat too. Okay, give me 2 seconds.
Take your time.
I can still hear you. You might not be able to hear my answers though.
Okay. We've taken a couple of weeks since the last time we recorded. We've forgotten how to use our microphones. Are you still able to see me or can you not see me either?
I can turn you and then I can see you. Oh, you're on the Baileys? Nice.
It looks like a massive glass of Baileys, but it's actually mostly ice.
Is that what you're telling you? Is that just what you're telling yourself?
I can hear you when you're far away, actually.
Okay. Baileys now, this is unfair.
Ah, come here. I've got loads of Baileys. I've got enough to share. Yeah, do. Jump on your private jet. Solar panel private jet. And this is why best friends can't live in the same country. Because we'd just be on the Baileys every night.
We definitely would. That is basically what we do when we get together. So
I actually got this Baileys on the way back from Malaga at the airport. So that's where the good prices are at. So how are you guys? How's your day been? Write in. Let us know. Give me a conversation while Alba goes and gets her water.
Okay, I'm here. So how did your day end up looking?
It started off pretty rough.
Yeah.
It's funny because it's kind of the topic of the conversation.
Nice. Perfect timing.
So yeah,
thank
difficult
you,
communication. Yeah, thanks for that. Thank you.
Couldn't have talked about this without you today, thanks.
Yeah. But then it definitely picked up both on work and also today's a pretty special day. Maybe we could mention it. I don't know if it's kind of breaking the fourth wall a little bit.
Oh.
But today is actually the day that our first 2 episodes have been put out into the world.
Yes,
which is crazy.
It's so crazy. So it's the 1st of May.
We've already had some amazing feedback.
We have, and it's so sweet, so sweet because you just never know with this kind of stuff. And to have gotten feedback within the first 12 hours is crazy. There's people that have listened to it already on the first day. It's so lovely. So we will be slowing down the recordings a bit so that we're a bit more in real time. Yeah. We just wanted to make sure that, we actually liked this podcasting stuff before actually launching the first episode. So we did a couple
And the
beforehand.
conclusion is we like it way too much.
Yeah.
We can't stop talking.
Yeah. You can't get rid of us. So
yeah. So we're here to stay. Sorry, guys. Another thing, something has changed since the last recording that I kind of forget. My hair's all gone.
Your hair's all gone. What's that about?
I'm on brand now.
Yeah, everyone's going to be like, wait, what? She's got long hair? Now, there's been a mix. There's been a mix on the social media to prepare people. But yes.
Yeah.
In real life.
In real life, I got my hair cut.
Yeah.
A big thing.
Exactly. Big thing.
I'm very happy
and it looks
with
so good. You still happy with it?
Oh, I love it. So much. I feel like it looks better. I feel better. It takes me about 33 seconds to wash my hair now. And 72 to dry. And it takes me 2 seconds to brush it. It's amazing.
Amazing. So that's like 105 seconds and you're done.
Wow, that was quick math.
I have no idea if they were right.
Oh, okay.
Let us know if I got it right, guys.
Quick math skills maybe aren't our forte. Or they are, who knows?
Or they are.
You might have done it subconsciously.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So I have some quite exciting news as well, which is actually also very in keeping with our first episode. Our first proper episode of networking. Guys, I am doing my first ever networking event next week. Costa Studio is going to have a little stand.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh, this is so cool.
Which actually, after the recording today, I want to ask you for advice on on earth do you put on a stand? I'm being told I've got a stand now. I'm like, now I've got to put stuff on it.
Oh yeah, I'm here for that. Oh yeah.
Maybe we can record it and have it be a separate little episode if anybody's curious on Saoirse's advice. But yeah, and I'm also going to be participating in a pitch competition for a new project. So that's very exciting.
That's so cool.
It's very stressful because I got the okay that as in the confirmation that I was going to be participating in this like 2 days ago, and then like proper 100% yesterday.
It's
so now
next week.
Yeah, it's next.
That's tough.
Wednesday and Thursday. Yeah, so I've got to tonight I've got to prepare stuff to go to the printers tomorrow, because I feel like if I leave it any longer, they're going to laugh in my face about having it ready in time. So
that's fine. We'll sort it all out tonight.
We'll sort it all out. It's fine. And I also have to prepare my pitch, which is but it's exciting. It's exciting. And
I can help you with that too. Oh my God. We're going to do so many extra episodes. There was us today saying, we're just going to record one episode for the first time.
Because we do, it's something that we want to do. We've probably mentioned it, is do little extra episodes when we touch on things that we've already talked about, like networking, which you've already talked about. But I have a whole new set of questions that we didn't discuss in the episode. So, cool.
I can't wait.
Yeah. I think maybe we should do a little toast that we can put on socials about the launch.
I need some more Baileys. Oh no, that looks like a normal amount of Baileys now.
You don't look like an alcoholic anymore.
Which I'm far from, guys.
You're far from. I don't know anyone less alcoholic-y. So, cheers to us, and we will manage.
Cheers to We Will Manage.
Too many more episodes.
And to helping people through the working world.
Yes, and helping each other
through the working world. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, we got some lovely feedback of a couple of people that had actually been at networking events.
Amazing.
A couple of days ago. Yeah. And the feedback was, I wish I'd seen this before my event, but at least that way I've lived it as a newbie.
I have stories to tell and learn from. It's good. It's fine.
And can relate hard.
I definitely feel like I'm going prepared to my networking event next week.
Brilliant.
For our episode. And yeah, so many people being like, oh, I've started listening and I love it. And so nice. So exciting.
So what's the event,
guys? The event is called Startup Marbella. It's in Marbella. Startup something actually. Startup. I think it's Startup Ole or something like that. Mm-hmm. And the original organization is from Salamanca. So the original one that they've been doing for something like 12 years or something is in Salamanca. But last year, for the first time, they did it in Marbella. And next year, they're also doing one in Miami. So it's a growing thing. And it is actually more geared for tech companies, like tech startups. I was actually invited to go because they asked, they wanted basically my main function there. I'm then going to try and present my pitch and try and get investors for something different. But my main purpose of going is to try and position myself as the person to help all these new techie startups get their branding on point. So that's kind of the vibe with which I'm going. And then I'm hoping that some investor will be surprised by my idea, even though it's not techie. I want to pick it up.
100%. I mean, they'll be bored with all the tech.
Exactly.
Especially at the pitch. Oh my God, we'll talk about the pitching later.
Yes.
So much
because
fun.
That's all of it's so new to me. I'm like, oh my God, I don't even, like I say, like, what are you supposed to put in your stand? I've got business cards, but they're like this size. The stand is going to be a lot bigger. I've also been designing a roll up, but that's as far as I've gone.
Perfect. It's perfect.
But yeah, Yeah, I haven't also got, obviously it's easier when you've got products to display or things to display. I haven't got things to display. I'm working on a portfolio type document. I want to make a little book kind of about the studio that feels like almost like a magazine, but it is got a portfolio within it, but I don't want it to be like a boring portfolio.
Yeah.
So I'm working on a book type magazine type thing to print out as well, so that when people are there, they can get an idea of who we are and what we do without having to like look at the website while they're stood there in front of me, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's as far as I've gotten. I was talking with one of our friends earlier, and she said to take a whiteboard in case there's anything that you want, like if you need to draw anything or anything like that. So might do that. Cool. Yeah, could be fun. But yeah, that's about
Yeah, we'll go into detail on that later.
Yeah, perfect.
I'm very excited. It's finally something I can help you with.
Definitely. And then any, like you say, for the actual pitch as well, because I've never pitched anything in my life. I've never had to look for investors, whereas you have experience with this. So you can definitely help me with that.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Cool.
Right, so now that my Baileys is almost gone, shall we jump into the subject of the day?
Yes, I'm excited. Like you said, we've been off for a couple of weeks and forgotten to use our mics, so I'm excited to jump in again.
Yeah, same. I was so excited at the end of my office day. I was like, at 4:59, I got a message from my boss, and he was like, "Oh, can you check this email for me?" And I was like, "Send it to me WhatsApp." I'm leaving.
I'm out the door.
So yeah,
good.
Right. So today we are talking about the art of communication.
Yes, we are.
Which I think is like 93% of the whole of the business world, honestly.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I absolutely agree.
It's crazy. So let me just get out my little...
I mean, I think just, you say business world, but really...
the world.
The world in general, I think, yeah. I think most of the arguments that I've had with my partner have been because of miscommunication or like like just understanding things differently. Even though we might have heard the same thing, you know, like, oh, I thought you meant this, I thought you meant that. Because assuming things, I think we're all very good at. And in every aspect. But yeah, I think communication, important.
Big thing. And I mean, I'm a big believer. There are a few people, I mean, I'm sure there are some, but there are a few people in this world that are mean people that want to hurt you. Mm-hmm. So everything else is just miscommunication or like misalignment or wanting different things and like problems always comes from miscommunication, honestly. Mm-hmm. And that's in relationships, that's in friendships, that's in working environments, it's everywhere.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. It's so true. It's so true.
So to start off, the definition of communication, right?
Yes. Give it to me.
So if we look at the Britannica dictionary, because I am British and not American, because I had the two choices.
I'd be surprised to hear the difference though.
Not much, honestly.
What do Americans consider communication? Sorry if you're American, we don't actually have anything
We love you
against
too. We love you too. Just when it comes to language, I'm going to prefer with it. Anyway, so communication is the act or process of using words, sounds, signs, or behaviors to express or exchange information. So communication isn't just talking. Mm-hmm. And lots of studies have shown that communication is over 90% nonverbal. So when you're having a conversation in face-to-face or on a video call or whatever, over 90% of the message that you're transmitting is not from the words that you're saying. It's from the tone, how you're choosing to emphasize certain words, your facial expression. Are you smiling? Are you sad? Are you... So many other things that are going on other than the words that are coming out of your mouth. Mm-hmm. So that's something that we're well aware of, but we forget, I feel, when it comes to maybe preferring an email than a meeting, or preferring a phone call to a video meeting. Obviously, it's fine, and sometimes it's more efficient, for sure.
Yep.
But when you're in a situation where you need really good communication, it's best to get as close to an in real life situation as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think it's so, like you say, we know this, we do, but it's so easy to forget it. And it's so, it's so simple to just slip into just WhatsApping or whatever. And how many messages or emails get, misread or whatever. Read in a different way. Oh, I didn't realize that's what you meant, whatever. Because such a big part of what is said is how it's said. It's so much. And it is so easy to forget that.
Mm-hmm. So when you're in the world of work, it's really, really important for, how you come off and for your relationships, but also getting things done. And it's really easy to miscommunicate, and things take 20 times the amount of time it would have taken if it had been a properly communicated subject. And it makes working with your coworkers a lot easier. It's so important. And maybe to take us back a couple episodes, we spoke in our, was it our workplace dynamics episode, I think? Or was it our management episode? I can't remember. But that over 70% of managers consider their meetings unproductive and inefficient. And I think that can be one of two things. Either you're not a very well-organized manager, which can be the case, and I think is the case a lot of the time, going into a meeting not really knowing what the meeting's discussed and not having been able to prepare. It's definitely the case for a lot of my meetings.
We're talking about that today. Okay.
Exactly. Right. Well, I need to look into my emails and look up the numbers and be able to respond to your question. So I think that's one issue. And then the second issue of why these meetings could be inefficient is communication. So somebody taking too long to get the message across, people misunderstanding, people not understanding well enough to then be able to give their input. So then, it's just inefficient, right?
Yeah.
So I think I was looking into, kind of wisdom from speakers and TED Talks and all of this, the things we love to do when we're prepping for these episodes. And I came across the TIP formula.
Oh, okay.
The TIP. So here's a tip. When it comes to efficient communication, in terms of how you word what you're talking about. And I'm thinking about, we actually had a conversation with our producer saying that she often felt like she wasn't very efficient in her communication. And so when I came across this tip, I immediately thought of her because I think it's really, really, obviously this applies to everybody and everything and could definitely apply to most of the times I communicate with people. So tip is 3 words, and it's 3 words to have very efficient communication. And it's in order. So, T, do you think you could try and guess what that means?
That's what I was trying to think. T.
What do you think is the most important thing to start with when you go into a meeting or start an email or start up a conversation with a colleague?
Transparency.
Yes.
I'm struggling to think of words with T. I can just think of T as in T.
Let me see if I can give you a clue.
I'm like thinking of things like technology. No, concentrate. What could it be?
So if, for example, you were to send a voice note to your employee and you wanted to quickly get a message across, what are you going to start with?
Is it time? No, damn. No. What's it going to start with?
Hi, I'm messaging you about, so that they can
the
situate.
Topic.
Exactly. So you start with the topic.
Yeah.
So you always start with the topic, because I think it's so often for somebody to call you and say, hey, about this thing, I was thinking that, and I was going through my emails, and you're still like, what are they talking about? I'm waiting for them to give me what it is we're talking about. And until you don't get to that,
give me the situation. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think especially with voice notes, I feel like I'm not saying I don't do this, but I think people are very good at kind of give you a running commentary of what they're thinking rather than, it's almost like they're thinking out loud rather than telling you something. And I know lots of people, and I can definitely do this as well, that, it is just like 30 seconds in and you're like, what are they talking about?
Yeah. And then they finally get to it.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, okay. And then you have to go back and start again.
Yeah, exactly.
So that you can put it in context, right? So always start with the topic. This can avoid confusions, because imagine if I say to you, hey, I need you to reschedule that meeting that we had scheduled for next week. Okay, and you go and you reschedule the meeting, and then I see that you've rescheduled the meeting, and I'm like, not that meeting, the other meeting, Yeah. That's the kind of miscommunications that you can avoid. So always start with the topic. Hi, about this thing.
Yeah.
The second one, which I think is really, really, really important, and it's often missed out, I think, in conversations that I have with my coworkers, is the I. Do you want to give it a go?
I'm trying to think of any words starting with I. I've forgotten as far as like iodine.
It's a tricky one. It's a tricky one. So imagine if I were to send you an email saying, hi, Bean. Hi, Alba, if we're in a working environment. About next week's episode. Here's the topic.
What else
End of email.
What's the next thing? Information.
Intention. Almost. So basically, you need to let them know what you want from them.
Yeah.
Why are you having this conversation? Why are you starting this conversation? So if I say to you...
The why, basically.
Yeah. It's because, again, you can start going through everything you've done and everything, but if they don't know what you want them to do with that information, they're not going to listen or hear what you're saying until they know what they're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
Are they supposed to be giving you an opinion? Are they supposed to be following up on something? So we've got the topic, we've got the intention. So what's the goal? Yeah. What do I need you to do with this information?
Yeah. How does this involve me?
Exactly. Because then you're going to listen, right?
Yeah, exactly.
If I just start rambling on about something that I've done, and you're like, okay.
Great.
Right? And then again, I get to the end of it and I say, oh, and I would like you to, or I don't say it. And then you start giving your opinion. I'm like, oh, no, I didn't want your opinion.
Yeah.
Oh, why are you attacking me?
I just wanted you to tell me how beautiful I am, okay? How well I'm handling this.
It's true, though. Because imagine if I came to you. I think this happens a lot in like friendships, relationships. I've had an issue. I've had a hard day. I've had a problem of a day, right? Kind of like me when I message you this midday.
Yeah.
And I start telling you about the situation. And I think this happens a lot in couples, possibly the woman, but not necessarily. Will start explaining what's happened and why they're feeling bad. And their partner will start giving them solutions. And they're like,
shut up. Stop talking or I will slap you.
I know there were 1,000 ways. I know there were 1,000 ways that I could have done it better. I don't need you to tell me that.
Yeah.
But they had the perfect good intention to try and give you a solution.
Of course.
But that's not what you wanted them to do with the information.
No. I saw this thing that I thought was amazing that was like, before, when somebody starts telling me something, I think they were applying it to romantic relationships, but I think it can be applied to any relationship. Before I even hear what they're talking about, but someone's come and they're wanting to tell you something because they're angry, upset, whatever, even excited. And they said, I like to ask them, what do you need from me? Do you want me to agree with you and just, be on your side essentially and just, be like, how dare they kind of vibes? Do you want me to give you solutions, like you said, solutions, constructive feedback, whatever? Or do you just need me to listen and say nothing? And I think that's really important because we do, at different stages of going through things, need, I think, all of those three. So it depends at what stage you're at with it, that you do just want to be them to say, be on your side and be like, what a knob. You're right. How dare he do that? Even though you're like, I know actually I was in the wrong, but thanks. Or whatever. Yeah. So yeah, very, very true.
So that goes for any kind of communication. So if you're emailing somebody because you need their input, or you're needing them to complete an action with this information, or just let them know. So I'm messaging you about this topic because I would like your feedback, or because I need you to take this up for me. And then the P. This is a very important P. Can you guess what it is? We've given the topic, we've given the intention, and now we're giving the message, right?
Yeah.
What do you want them to go straight to?
Do it.
I want you to go straight to the
problem. To the point. No. Yeah?
Yeah. Get to the point.
Yeah. Get to the point. Yeah.
So many people, and I have worked with these kinds of people. They'll give you their whole reasoning, their whole logic, all of the steps they followed to get to this information.
Which is
and
always
you spend
fun.
half an hour doing this. Just
Thinking.
waiting for them to get to the point.
I'm just the unlucky person in front of you right now. I'm the one that just got caught. Caught in front of you when you started. Yeah.
And people stop taking you that seriously, you know, because they're like, okay, So I know what topic we're talking about.
Yeah. Also, I feel like I'm very, very big on, and it's come up a few times in different aspects of life this week, on valuing time. I'm a busy person. Lots of people are busy people. Please don't waste my time.
Yeah.
If you can tell me something in 2 minutes instead of half an hour, I appreciate it. It's nice. Obviously, we're talking friends. That's, obviously different. But there's just like, there are so many situations when you're like, get to the point, let's do this right, because at this point you're just wasting my time. And it's rude. Yeah. You should value my time as much as your own. Exactly. Yeah. And you don't really listen. Them. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. So I think it's a big reason, like you say, you don't get taken as seriously. And also it just leads to frustrations because, if you're asking someone to do something, especially if it's in a job environment, they probably have 1,000 things on their to-do list already and they're trying to get done. So just be clear, communicate properly, get to the point.
Yeah. And I know that it's not always easy, and we're actually going to get to that a little bit later. I think lots of people, the reason they do it, they have their different reasons. But honestly, get to the point. So give the topic, give your intention. So tell them what you want them to do with the information so that they listen in the right way, because you might not listen in the same way if you want to do one thing or if you want to do the other. Absolutely. And then get to the point. Yeah. Honestly, as quick as possible, you can get to the point. This is what I want to say. And then give all of the explanations you want. Okay.
Especially, maybe give room for people to ask. If they ask, then you definitely give it. But if no one asks, then maybe
they don't need that information.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's the tip. Topic, Good. Intention, point.
Topic, intention,
efficient
point.
Efficient communication.
Yeah. Love it.
So I wonder, I haven't actually been able to think of any examples myself. I feel like everything is it's all kind of happened very generally, but I can't think of any specific examples of miscommunications in my life or in my working world that have led to awkward situations or disastrous situations. I was wondering if you could think of any.
So I was having a think about this. There are lots of little things that have happened. I don't know if there's like this one big thing. So like, for example, when you were saying this morning, just now at the beginning of this episode,
gosh, we haven't been going that one long, have we?
I know.
I definitely didn't get to the point.
Like this is just something that happened last night, got resolved this morning with my employee, the person who works at my company. So she does social media, and this is the kind of thing that happens, and it happens quite a lot with clients, and you think, why? What's happening here? Is it our fault? Is it their fault? I don't really know. So it's a client that we do their Instagram. In this case, we're going to talk Instagram for. And that includes a mix of posts and reels and stories. The stories aren't really the most important part, right? It's something that, yeah, it's good to do, but it's not really, I don't know. There are things that are more important. Well, we did a story. My employee did this story for them and sent it on the group. One of the two people that are to okay the stuff said, it's great, love it, maybe make the text in the second image a bit bigger, but apart from that, love it, go ahead. The second person, interestingly, messaged her on private, not on the group. So already there, that's just weird. And this was at 4:00. All evening, she sent me a message at 8:30 in the evening, up just so frustrated. She was asking her to change little things. Oh, can you maybe make, instead of that sentence, this sentence? So it was a story that was to get people to go and check out their blog, right? Mm-hmm. Oh, I think this is more like the main focus of the blog. Can you change that? Okay, she changed it. Oh, would you mind in the first one changing the background image? She changed it. And it went on like this for hours and hours and hours and hours. This morning at 11, half an hour before it was to be posted, she asked, can we actually just go with the first one you sent us yesterday at 4:00? This isn't this big presentation that they're going to be, needing to pitch to get investment. No, this is a story that's up for 24 hours and it's not even the main event. The main event is the blog that there's. So it's like, why did you... I don't understand. We've now said we're going to have to put a new clause inside of the contract, which is for stories specifically, because we'd never had this issue before, up to 2 corrections. That's it. You can change the complete design in one of the corrections if you want. Don't care. But it was actually ridiculous. And was that our fault? Was that her fault? Like, what was going on there? And it was like... It's things that you think, if you say no, it seems weird because she's asking you to change, the background of an image. It was things that were taking her maybe 5 seconds, but it's things that it literally ended up taking her all day to do this one story, which isn't important. Like, it's not.
It took her longer to make the story than the story was live.
It literally, I don't understand. So there's things like that, which, I mean, that's got to be down to communication, but I don't know what could have been. Yeah, like what happened? Were we? And the annoying thing is that for some reason, something weird was going on because she wasn't saying it on the group. She said it on private. So I had no idea what was going on. And the other person who had already okayed it had no idea what was going on. Did she get to the office the next day? And he was like, oh, I can't wait for the story to go up. She said, oh, we actually changed it and now it looks like this. And he went, oh, that looks terrible. I want to... or what happened? And then there's also maybe an element of not just trusting us enough to think that the design that had been done originally was okay. I don't know. I don't know. So that just happened literally last night / this morning. So, and I just had a meeting with my employee before this and we were talking about it. So that was like very fresh. But everything that I could think of were little things like that. So just annoying things. You think there must have been a way. Something here has been badly communicated. A lot of stories that did come to mind. I think we did talk about it in last episode, I think, and how not to get screwed over. Because a lot of things like this. Yeah. A lot of things like this and that just get put in, are now part of the contracts that we make. This will now be part of the contracts that we make in the future. So yeah, a lot of things and stories that I'm sure I have already told about just, were basically because contracts weren't put in place, so that it was just like, and
the thing is with contracts, you have to have this clear communication because you're putting it into writing, right?
Exactly.
So that's why contracts, apart from the fact that you can then show it, defend yourself, it puts things clearly.
And both people know exactly what's happening and what you're getting and what you need to do and what you can do, what you can't do. So yeah, I can't, and I was really annoyed because I'm sure there must be
same.
Something.
I mean,
that
I was
is,
also
like,
actually
big.
thinking about something that kind of happened to me today. So last week I had a meeting. So I'm product manager for one of our products, which is a fabric bag, right? And so I'm in charge of its development, of its image, of kind of everything that happens in how it
To the bag.
changes. And yeah. So I'm in charge of things getting done around this product. And last week we had a meeting, myself, the general director, and the logistics and sourcing director. So we're not a big team. That was everybody that's in charge of this product. The one that sells it, the one that makes it, and whatever I do.
The one that protects it.
Yeah. So we had this meeting and we went through all the points and what we were doing in terms of development, all of the new fabrics that we're using and the samples that we're producing, blah, 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 blah. This meeting went on for maybe an hour. And then the following day, I wrote a summary of the meeting to put all the points that we discussed so that it was clear for everybody. And sent the email. I was like, perfect. We had that meeting. I've sent the summary meeting. Everything's super clear. If they haven't read the email, not my problem, but it'll be clear. And then today, somebody that was in that meeting asked me, has this been done? And I looked to my colleague and he said, no. And we kind of looked at each other and we realized I hadn't assigned the tasks. So we both thought, kind of like, they'll do it, you know? Because I was like, oh, this is a logistics thing, so they'll take care of that. And he thought, oh, this is more of a development thing, so she'll take care of that. And that's just a bad communication, you know? And so what I did is today, this afternoon, just before I left, I took that email and I sent it to the other person that does the things with me. And I highlighted the different points that we discussed and I assigned them. So I said, I'll do that, you do this, I'll do that, you do this. Super clear, crystal clear. So we won't have that problem. And after I sent that email, 2-3 of the things got done immediately. So I could have just done that in the first place.
Yeah.
So I'd given the topic. Not really given the intention. Well, I didn't give the intention. What are you supposed to do with this information? Here's the information. Here's the topic. Here's what we discussed.
Yeah. Okay.
Great.
Yeah.
I know. I was in the meeting.
Yeah.
And here's the intention. I want you to do this and I'll do this. And then things get done.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's the number one thing of a manager, isn't it? If setting the tasks is so important, because if not, like you just said, they just don't get done.
Yeah.
And
it's not because
it's
people don't want to do them. It's just because they don't know that they were supposed to.
Yeah, exactly. Because everyone just assumes that someone else will do it.
Yeah. More often than not. Because nobody's going to jump up and do something, you know, without anybody asking them to.
Exactly. That was always my worst nightmare, was in uni doing like group projects, because I always ended up being the person in charge of managing everyone, and I didn't want to be, but nobody else, like things literally weren't getting done, and it's just like like you need for that to work, you need to have somebody to be like, okay, this is what we need to do, this is how we're going to do it, this is who's going to do what. And if not, things just don't get done. That's just how.
Do you know what I'd love to hear?
What?
I'd love to hear from your university friends what you were like at university. I feel like that's something we've got to do.
Funny. That would be hilarious. I would love to know what they would say.
Because I know what you were like in school. But I feel like university is a whole different
universe. Totally. We should so do that. We should get like, I should ask 5 of your friends from uni and get them to send it as voice notes. And you should ask 5 of my friends from uni and get them to send it as voice notes.
That'll have to be a Spanish episode.
That would have to be a Spanish episode, yeah.
Actually, no, maybe not. We'll see.
We could probably get them to send it in Spanish so they can do an unfiltered, and then get them to do one in English. Like, just translate that. Get AI to do an English
use
version
their
of
voice.
them.
All right.
Oh, that would be hilarious.
So yeah. So we're gonna play a game.
Yay!
I don't know how this is gonna go, right?
Okay.
It might take a while to get something that we can actually put out there.
Okay.
But we're going to play Inbox Roulette.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, no.
So I'm
Already
going to start.
Okay.
What I'm going to do, I'm not going to share my screen because I'm going to open my work email.
Okay. Oh.
And then we're going to read the message.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I should go into my sent. I'm going to go into my sent folder. So it's my messages. We're going to read the message. And you're going
Why are you doing this to us?
You have to try and interpret the tone and the intention behind my message. Okay?
Oh my God.
So I can skip through a few emails if they're not any good because lots of my emails are just FYI, okay?
Okay. All right. Tell me when you start scrolling.
I've started scrolling. Okay, so let's see if we can work with this. So I'll give you the context. My co-founder sends me the profile of a person because we're currently considering taking on an intern, right? Ooh. And he sends me the message, the profile, the CV, and he says probably too junior. And my response is in French, so I'm going to translate.
Are you going to make it translate or are you going to try and translate on the moment?
No, I'm going to translate on the moment.
Oh, wow.
I say she must be in the last year of her bachelor's, a little bit junior, but interesting profile. So what do you think the intention is here? What is my intention of this message?
I think your intention...
Be in her last year of bachelor's, but a bit junior, but interesting profile.
Your intention is to not get your feet wet and let him make the decision.
Bang on.
Because you've agreed with him, but also given her you're going positive. You're not leaving it totally neutral. But it is quite neutral.
Pretty vague, right?
Yeah, because you're agreeing. You're just agreeing. You're like, yep, but it looks good.
Bang on. I actually think this is a really good example. So what's happened? He didn't reply to that email. This email was sent on Wednesday. Oh, it was actually only yesterday. So not too long ago. And nothing has happened. Because what is he supposed to reply to that?
Yeah. I guess if you'd said something along the lines of trying to move towards an interview or not. So so talk about the next step, basically, I guess, is what would make him answer. Which you have not done.
Yeah. I feel like it's hard to, because then the next part of this game is to try and rephrase it using the T.I.P method. But I feel like, at least with emails, you already have the topic because you're in an exchange. But if I were to send him just a message, I would start by saying, about that CV you sent me, I don't know, this is what I think, or this is what I think our next step should be. Yeah. Or something like that.
So obviously the message is saying I agree. But yeah. But you've said that it looks like an interesting profile. So I guess the next step would be if you want to take that further and, try and contact her and maybe do an interview, or it looks interesting, but maybe we should keep looking for now or something like that. Then it's, backup potential, but not the person that we want to interview right now or something, I guess.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think that would have been a much better way to communicate that. I think she looks interesting as a last resort, but let's keep looking for now.
Yes. I'm going to open mine actually. Okay. I'm in and I'm going to start scrolling
your sense. Yeah. Okay. Are you ready?
Okay. Well, this one doesn't work.
You don't have to read us your private emails.
No, so it's basically I got an email that I don't know how they did this. They accidentally sent me an email instead of Claudia. So it literally the topic says, Claudia, is this for you? And I've just forwarded the email. Like, that's it. Oh, wait, I'm going to go into my sent like you did. That makes more sense. You did ask me that and I just completely ignored you. Okay, let's do it again.
But that was a sent email. So
That was a sent email. You're right. Yeah. So, okay, scrolling.
okay. Stop.
Okay, let's see. What does this one say? Oh, well, this is actually amazing because this is one of the kind of emails that we get that is like makes zero sense, right? But I feel like I need to answer. So
maybe we can use their email as a bad example of communication.
In the topic, in the subject box is logo.
Okay.
That's it. They've said to me, hello, are you available for logo design? This is it. That is their email to me. I answered, hello, of course, what kind of project are you thinking of? We hope to hear from you soon, Alba. And he answered, I need 2 logo options and I have the sample. I didn't answer anymore after that. Because I was like, this person is annoying me and cannot communicate and doesn't seem serious.
I have 2 logos and a sample.
And I have the sample. Yeah. I need 2 logo options. I need 2 logo options. So he needed 2 logo designs and I have the sample. I don't know if by sample he means like a mood board.
Or like a drawing.
Or like a drawing. Yeah. Like a reference. I don't know. So that was that.
So it just goes to show they didn't get what they needed because they didn't communicate very well.
They didn't communicate what they didn't. Maybe they ended up working with someone who did put up with them and their lack of communication. I don't know. But yeah. Yeah. And I get those kind of emails all the time and I'm always like, do I bother answering? Because I feel like it's just so like, they're not like, hi, I'm this. They don't even say their name. I don't know what their name is. They don't have an email signature. They don't say, hi, I'm this person.
That's crazy.
No, I didn't omit the signature. I just didn't, it wasn't there to read. So, and I get these kind of emails all the time and I sometimes answer them, sometimes don't. This was one that I did. But yeah, around now, all my emails are like out to people asking for money, sending everybody invoices.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Shall I try another one? Do you want to tell me to stop?
Do it.
I feel like the other one was a pretty good example. Okay, I'm ready. Ooh, it's a long one.
Ooh.
Oh, I'm pretty good.
Readable?
I'm pretty good.
Yeah?
It is. It's also in French, so I'm going to have to do some translating.
Oof, a lot.
So this is to a theater here in Switzerland. I'm not going to go any more precise because it would be very obvious who it is. So I start by saying, I know the context is the person in charge of logistics at my company was on holiday. Mm-hmm. When he goes on holiday, all hell breaks loose.
Okay.
Because nobody else knows how to do anything. So I usually cover for him. And I'm getting pretty good. Mm-hmm. So this is me writing to them.
Okay. Who
have placed an order of tote bags, right? So I say, good day. Bonjour. I think we can probably do that in French. I am writing to you on the subject of your tote bag order. Pretty good, pretty good.
Yeah, yeah.
We're going to be able to send you photos of the first sample of production today. The order is really hard to translate. Okay, so today we're going to be able to send you photos of the first sample of production of your new design. Accompanied by the sample print that you sent us. Mm-hmm. So they sent us a sample print so that we could make sure that the colors were the same. To be able to meet your short lead time, so they needed their bags pretty quickly, it would be ideal to confirm the order based on the photos because sending the sample could risk delaying everything. The sample will be sent anyway for your reference. I will send you these photos as quick as possible. Good day. Saoirse Catherine McConnell.
And that was pretty good.
I think that was pretty good. We've got the topic.
Yeah.
Have we got the intention? Yeah. I want them to.
Yeah.
I would like them to confirm the order based on the photos and not need a physical sample because
they know what they need to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Not bad. Then you go to the point. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's good.
Go to the point.
Yeah.
Yay. Little round of applause for my
good job,
communication skills.
All right. Shall I do one more?
Let's do it.
Okay. I'm in sent and scrolling.
Okay, you ready? We're going back in time. Stop.
Okay. Right. So this was to organize a photo session, content creation. And I've sent it to 3 people that I was going to be doing the photos, that need to know about the photo session. So I don't think there's anything in here that I can't read. So I put, hello, everyone. Would it be possible? I'm guessing this is after a meeting or something. I don't know. So the subject is called photo session prep. The subject of the email. Hello, everyone. Would it be possible for you to send me photos of the spaces available for doing the photos on Thursday, as well as what you need from the photos specifically? As much information as possible is appreciated so I can plan accordingly so that we can take advantage of the 2 hours and so that I can make sure I have the right equipment with me. Thank you so much, Alba.
I think that was pretty good. Straight to the point. You gave the topic a couple lines down, or like maybe a line down.
Yeah. Yeah.
You gave them the attention. You'd like them to send you this information.
Send me the information, and I told them why I need it, so that I can plan the photo session, so that I can arrange my equipment. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's really good because if it were for another reason, maybe they would give you the information differently. Yes,
exactly. So I think the saying that I needed to plan the session was for them to feel urgent about it, so that because if not, then I might not be taking advantage of the 2 hours, which is literally what I said, so that we take advantage of the 2 hours. Because if not, they're like, oh no, she's going to come and we're not going to actually do anything. And then the equipment, obviously, it was so that they could, what I was thinking was lighting, if I would need to take lighting with me or not. So then he did send me photos, and there's like a little thread. He sent me an older team photo to have as reference, and so not bad.
Maybe the fact that we show that we have relatively good communication skills is a reason for our, let's call it, success. For the good place we are in our careers right now. I feel like good communication skills has probably gotten us quite far.
Yeah, definitely. Because I know a lot of clients have expressed that. Like I just had a call the other day with a new client, and she got recommended from a client I've actually only been working with for about a month and a half. So a new client that I don't have much history with. But she mentioned that a big part of it was because of using things like Milanote. So she felt like the whole process was very clear, and it was communicated very well, like what was happening, when it was happening. She could go back and look at things. Like she felt like there wasn't anything being hidden, and she liked that. So cool. So much that she recommended somebody. So yeah.
It's pretty cool. It's really cool. Keep it up.
Yeah.
And it makes your employees more happy. It's best. It's the best thing ever.
Absolutely.
Okay, so
fun and stressful.
Yeah, I can imagine. We could have skipped through anything that could have been shared.
Yeah.
Also, that's why I didn't want you to share your screen, because it would be impossible to blur everything out.
Definitely. I also talk a lot with my clients on WhatsApp.
Oh, that's interesting.
With nearly all my clients, we have a group WhatsApp. So like normally the first few messages are email, and then once everything gets established, then it moves into WhatsApp, and it'll be like whatever name of company, X cosa, and then that's like the name of the group, and that's where most of the communication happens. So I feel like there's probably more juicy stuff in my WhatsApp than in my email.
Perfect. We avoided that.
Yeah.
It's a totally different dynamic as well, isn't it? Texting.
And you try, it's interesting because you do try and create messages in a kind of like, it's like an
Email-y
adapted
kind of way.
email. Yeah, totally. Like you try and make longer messages is one thing that I hate when especially clients are like, do the like one message at a time thing. And it's like, why? Like I do that with friends and stuff, but like for like
Just finish
if you
your
look
sentence.
at yeah, exactly. If you look at all my like messages in my chats with my clients, they're all like paragraphs. Like we need this, and this, or, you know, whatever. We're going to be doing this, and to plan the session, we're going to do this, whatever. But it's always paragraphs. And some clients answer like that as well. Others abuse voice notes and others talk to you as if you're their friend, which is the case with the one who yesterday up until all hours of the night was changing stuff, was that she is sending, oh, can you change this and can you change that, like literally like messages like that, just, and the color and the this and the
It's crazy.
so yeah, I don't know if it's good, but it's how we're doing it at the moment.
Yeah, no, I know in some countries WhatsApp is really used a lot.
Yeah, I think it makes a big difference for when you're trying to get people to answer quickly as well. Unfortunately, like if you're trying to plan something with a client, if it's something a bit bigger and we need to send documents and stuff, then we do it over email. But normally if it's like, hi, just sending these things so you can okay them, if that has to be done through an email, it can be days before we hear back. Whereas in WhatsApp, it's normally like that same day they'll be like, yes, no, whatever.
I feel like maybe people think that they can ignore an email for longer, or you have more emails to go through, or
also people can't see if you've seen it.
Yeah, true.
People can't see if you've opened it, if you've received it, nothing. You send it and you're in the dark until you get an answer.
Yeah.
WhatsApp, not so much.
True. There's maybe that little, okay, I have to answer now.
Okay.
I think there are two main types of bad communicators.
Ooh, interesting. Okay.
We have the ramblers. And we have the know-it-alls.
Oh my God, which one's worse?
That's a good question. Which one do you think is worse?
Probably the know-it-alls.
At least they get straight to the point, you know?
Yeah, at least they get straight to the point. But then the very important part of communication, which is listening, might not be as well received. Whereas a rambler, they might not get to the point. But if you ask them to get to the point in a nice way, they might, and they might, you know, listen to your feedback or whatever it is that you're supposed to be answering better. I don't know. Yeah. Both are pretty not great.
Yeah, I've definitely worked with both.
Really?
I've worked with ramblers, and I've worked with, I don't like to call them know-it-alls. It was just what I came up with, okay? But, you know, people that have relatively strong opinions in the fact that they're right and are maybe not as good at listening to your opinion before giving their own. So I'm going to start with the ramblers, because I feel like this happens to quite a lot of people. And I don't think it comes from a place of wanting to waste your time.
No. We're going to say no. Going to give them the benefit of the doubt.
But the truth is, it's just not very efficient communication. I mean, I've worked with a rambler. It was just somebody that, it was unfortunate because she usually had really, really good points and a really great way of thinking of things. She thought really out of the box, always went down to the detail, you know, really was dedicated to what she was talking about, right? Yeah. She wasn't just giving out the first thing she thought and then don't care about what happens. Really dedicated to her job. But she would go round and round and round in circles before getting to the point. Yeah. And people would just stop listening. And like kind of lose respect for what she was saying just because it was taking so long, you know?
Yeah. I wonder why the ramblers do it.
I have opinions.
Opinions? What's your opinions?
So I think if I were to want to give a piece of advice to somebody that struggles to get to the point, I think one main thing is be confident. So be confident in what you want to say. It's okay to not be right and it's okay to mess up, but give yourself that chance to be respected. So say what you want to say. Then you can give context if you really think you need to.
Yeah.
It's not going to be less bad to be wrong if you've given all of your context, okay? Nobody really cares how you got to the point or how you got to your opinion on what you're saying or anything. Go straight to it. Be confident. I know it's easier said than done, but at least, you know, if you're losing that respect in all of the times that you're giving out your ideas, even the ones where you're right, they're not going to get across very well.
Yeah. I was thinking, like, when I ramble, why do I do it? And I think it comes from a place of being worried that you're going to be misunderstood. So you're wanting to give all the context. You wanted to, like, explain every detail of the situation and all that before being like, and this is what happened, or this is what the conclusion I got to, or whatever. And I think it comes from a place because if you're worried that if you don't do that, then they're going to just misunderstand you, and then maybe either not want to listen because they think something that isn't quite true.
That's a good point, yeah.
Or feel like they might just start being argumentative in a way that it's not where you want to take it's not what you meant. So maybe that feeling misunderstood or being worried that you're going to be misunderstood if you don't if you don't explain yourself, and you're worried that you won't get the chance to explain yourself after, so you explain yourself before just to make sure you get it in
which
there.
is totally fair enough, and I think that's a very valid way to think. I think it's important on how you give your message for that reason, for people to not take it the wrong way.
I think it is linked with confidence. If you're confident in what you're saying, then you're confident that you can deal with the backlash, is that the right word? Of whatever might come. If you're worried that they're going to take it the wrong way or whatever, you're confident that what you're saying is, you know,
is the message
got a
that
foundation
needs to be given.
And you'll be able to explain afterwards if needed. Because I think that is what it comes down to. But interesting.
And I found this concept, which was I really like the name of it. So it's bluff. You've got to bluff, okay? But bluff stands for something.
Okay. We love it when
bluffing.
a word stands for something. I love it.
So bluff stands for bottom line up front. So start with your point. It all comes back to the same thing, right? But when you're getting your message across, start with what you want to say and then go into the context.
Yeah.
So this is the message I want to give. This presentation needs to be changed. And this is why. You know? And there are ways to make sure that the message you're giving, so that bottom line, isn't taken personally. And because if you've done the presentation and I'm saying to you, this presentation needs to be changed, you won't necessarily take that personally. If I say you did this presentation wrong, then you're going to take that personally.
Well, I mean, pray darn hard
even
not
if I
to,
then
but
go
whatever.
into the why. If I start with you didn't do very well and this is why, that's not going to work. But if I say to you, this needs to be changed and this is why, then you're going to be likely to actually have a constructive conversation with me.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
So bluff. Bottom line up front. And then we'll talk about how to get that bottom line in a way that you're not going to have that backlash that you don't want to be able to have a constructive conversation. And the last thing I would say to ramblers, to give them a bit more confidence and ease and impact and getting the message across. And
impact is a good word. Because that is what you lose very quickly when you start to ramble.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. So pauses. There's nothing wrong with pauses, okay? I had a meeting the other day. It's actually a very, very exciting thing that I haven't told you about, but I'll tell you about that later. We had a meeting with this big shot chemical company, right?
Wow.
And I'll give you a little bit of context just because I'm excited to talk about it. Basically, through a couple of contacts, somebody at this company heard about the project we're working on. And I'd gotten in contact with them for like a very specific thing that I was looking for. And he called me and he said to me, "Hi, I just wanted to see if you were available on Friday because the CTO and the research head of my company, which is a worldwide chemical company. I'm wondering whether I should say this, but they'd like to have a meeting with you.
Oh my goodness.
I was like, okay.
Even if I'm not available, I am now.
I was planning to, be on the bottom of the ocean or on top of the mountain, but I'll be anywhere you need to be. But of course not. I played it cool. I was like, oh yeah, let me check my calendar. Hold on. It looks good for me. Let me check with my colleague and I'll get back to you. Anyway.
He says he's okay with it. Oh my God, so exciting.
Yeah. So anyway, we were in this meeting, right? And we were with the CTO of this company, so Chief Technology Officer of this company, the person that's in charge of all of the innovation, all of the techno, all of the R&D. And he was American. He was so intimidating, but I'm going to explain why.
Okay.
So he would start to talk like this, and he'd ask you a question, right? All of the time in the world. He'd ask you a question, and you'd answer the question. And he'd go, okay, so much silence. That call was so full of silence, but I respected him so much. Mm-hmm. Never would I have imagined about interrupting him. Never. You could see by his body language, by where he was in his sentences, that was a pause and not the end of a sentence.
Yes.
And you would even wait, just in case. When he finished talking, you'd be like, is he done? Is he done? Okay, now it's me.
So you were thinking.
So
wow.
What I want to say is there's nothing wrong with pauses. And if you're doing a good job in communicating, people shouldn't interrupt you. Although, if you do get interrupted, especially if you are tending to be a bit of a rambler, honestly, people tend to interrupt you. This definitely happened with the person that I worked with that tended to go on a bit. People would jump in before she'd gotten to the point because they just couldn't be bothered.
Yeah.
Which is such a shame because she would never get to the point. So she wouldn't be able to get her message across. So she would lose this respect. Anyway, if you're doing a good job communicating, you shouldn't get interrupted, even if you do pause. So don't be worried about getting interrupted. And don't try and fill sentences with empty words. Mm-hmm. And if you do get interrupted, there are different things you can do. So one of the main things, especially if you're in a live meeting or even online, it still works if it's a video call, you can use your body language. So you can, there's ways to show that you still want to talk or that you haven't quite finished, or you can politely ask, I'd just love to finish my thought and then I really want to hear your take, Mm-hmm. There are different ways to get through that. And also in a company, in any kind of situation, if you have this problem a lot, you can ask a colleague to be your ally. So you can be like, hey, Alba, in the next meeting, I'm getting really frustrated because people keep interrupting me, and I'm really trying to work on my communication skills, getting to the point quicker. But if they do interrupt me, do you think you could just stick up for me, just help me out and say that you want to hear my thought or you want to hear me finish? If you could do that, that'd be great.
I got you, Rambler.
That's what friends are for, right? We all need to work, bestie.
Definitely. Yeah, I think that's a really good shout to know that somebody will be there. I think it helps you feel less cornered. So it will hopefully make you feel less, like you won't get that chance to explain yourself because, you're going to try and stick up for yourself and you've got someone else who hopefully will help you with it as well. I think that's a really good bit of advice. And taking it back to the pauses, this is something that I think I've gotten a lot better with over time, but answering a question and finishing the answer when someone when I'm with a client, especially if it's a newer client and I'm trying to, get them as a client and I'm trying to, just answer everything in the fullest way, in a way that they feel like I've got their back, we can take care of what they're doing. It's good.
Deciding when to stop.
Mm-hmm. They can, ask me a yes or no question, or maybe it's a yes, we do that. And they're waiting to see if I'm going to say anything else. And I just can't help myself to be like, because blah, blah. Just carry on talking. And as I'm talking, I'm like, stop talking. This is no longer relevant. But now how do I stop talking? I don't, and literally, and I'm so much better at it now that if there is an answer that I'm like, yes. going to say
And then
yes.
you just wait because
all I need
somebody's
to
going to
say.
speak.
Yeah, exactly.
Brilliant.
But I do struggle with that.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard not to be afraid of that kind of awkward silence, right? Especially in work meetings. Like, it's one thing to have an awkward silence with a friend or like a date.
Yeah.
But in a work meeting, you're like, what does he want from me?
Yeah. Why is he just staring at me?
So
Yeah.
So that's for the ramblers. So if you out there, you think that you might be a little bit of a rambler, that's fine. We're all a little bit of a rambler at some point in our lives, I think.
Yeah. Literally what I was going to say, that I feel like I connect more with ramblers than know-it-alls. I don't know if I'll have as much insight into know-it-alls. We'll see.
Yeah. Maybe you've tried working with know-it-alls.
Definitely
Maybe
clients that are know-it-alls.
I can imagine clients tend to think they know more than you.
Yeah, we talked about it a little bit about it in the red flag, green flag. As in, that's not what it was called, but we talked a lot about red flags and green flags. And red flags normally are around them being know-it-alls and being like, oh yeah, because you can do this. I literally had this the other day. Oh, because that's just a job that takes 2 days. Doesn't know.
I'd love to see you do it.
Great. Okay, well, I'll have that to you next week.
God, yeah.
Yeah.
So know-it-alls. So this is, again, advice for know-it-alls. So if you can relate a little bit, it's fine.
Yeah.
You may be
No
a little
judgment.
bit of a know-it-all. No judgment. It's good. You're confident in your ideas. You're probably going to have an easier time correcting this than the ramblers because you've already got the confidence. You're sure of what you're saying. Maybe you just need to do a couple things to make sure that the communication you're having is efficient. So I think we all know what the first one is.
Listen to the other person. So if you're already listening to us, that's a great first step.
You're probably the kind of person that is okay with listening.
Yeah.
But so many people do not do this. It's so common to go into a meeting, and if the aim of that meeting is just to give people information, then sure, go ahead. But if the aim of that meeting is to do anything constructive or any kind of brainstorm or get their input, which is often the case with meetings, otherwise you would just send an email. Yeah. Then you need to start by listening. And I'm not saying that your idea isn't the best idea in the world. It might be.
It might be. It's always a possibility.
It is always a possibility. And I'm sure it's often the case with you. Okay?
Yeah. Yeah. There's a reason you've got that confidence. It's true.
Yeah, probably. But listening first before giving your opinion, obviously with an open mind, because if you're just not talking, just to give them the time, it's
not talking
not
and listening
working.
aren't the same thing.
So listening can have two great outcomes, right? Which is either they have a good idea or they have a bad idea. Okay? If they have a good idea, you've just gained a new good idea that you might not have thought of. Yeah. I know it might be hard to believe, but it can happen.
I feel like we're now talking to a 4-year-old.
Sorry. Am I being a bit patronizing? Anyway.
No, go over there and say sorry.
I can relate to this one. Anyway,
yeah.
Listening can have two great outcomes. Either you gain new information that you might not have thought of, or that you don't have the expertise on, and maybe you didn't realize that there was that way of seeing it, so it can be constructive for whatever you're trying to work on. Or if after them expressing their opinion or expressing what they know about the subject, you don't necessarily agree or want to take that into account, you now have the tools to be able to convince them otherwise. You know why they think what they think, you know what they think, and now you know how you can have that conversation. Because if you don't listen to their opinion and you don't listen to how they think, then it's going to be really difficult to convince them otherwise, because you don't know what you're convincing against and you don't know how their brain works.
Absolutely. And I think also one thing that's interesting to maybe try and see how you're doing this, and if it makes it, I think it's something that people who maybe do know it all feel like they know it all do, which is the difference between listening to hear what the other person's saying and listening to answer what the person is saying.
Mm-hmm.
That's quite different. And normally when you're only listening so that you can answer what they're saying, then you're not really, you kind of latch onto the first thing that they say, which is what ramblers are scared of, because it might not be the point. So you latch onto the first thing that they say, and you, rather than continuing listening, are thinking of how you can answer. Mm-hmm. And I feel like this leads to not very constructive conversations. I feel like I've been in these kind of conversations a lot where it's like you're not listening to what I'm saying. You just got caught up on the first detail and you're still there just, and that wasn't my point of what I was trying to answer. So yeah, are you listening to hear what they're saying, or are you listening to answer?
Absolutely.
Quite easy to catch yourself on as well. Like to be like, wait, what was the last sentence that you said? Do I already have an answer for this before they've even finished talking?
Yeah, maybe I'm a bit ahead of myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's the first one. Start by actively listening is how we say it. So you actively listen. You're not just listening, like you say, to answer, or you're not just listening to be able to give your own point, but you're actually listening to what they're saying because they could have a good point. Yep. And that's why you're in a meeting with them in general. The second one, I think, is 90% of the frustration that I feel at work.
Oh, no.
Be constructive. Be constructive. If you are criticizing or saying why something needs to be changed or something is wrong or something could be better, you need to be constructive about it. And that kind of leads it to the next point that I've written down is don't make it personal. So if you make it personal by saying, you've done this, and on top of that, I'm just saying wrong, without giving you a tool or this is what I think we could try, or let's try and brainstorm it together, it's really difficult for that conversation to be constructive.
Yeah, because the person automatically shut down. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They're going to defend themselves. And this, it happens to me all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's normal. Of course you like that's just normal because especially I think in a working environment, because you're worried that you will be valued less as a worker or that your boss will tell you off because they've seen that they think that you've done this thing wrong and that's not the case or whatever. So of course you automatically jump to defending yourself because
or they're not valuing the time or effort you've put into that thing.
Exactly. You didn't just do this because you felt like doing it wrong. That's not what happened. You obviously understood that that's how it had, or maybe it's nothing to do with you. Maybe it got changed. Maybe what you were asked to do, you did it, and then for whatever reason, it changed, and now we've got to do something else. So this has been done, and it's no longer right. But it's
that's such a good point.
You did this wrong, because that's happened so many times to us, sometimes it's said in a nice way, sometimes not so much, but they're like that, website page that you did, it needs to be completely redone because we've decided that that's not how we want to do whatever, but I think that's something that, and it can be in meetings. If you're in a meeting that includes the boss man or the boss woman and all it said is, this presentation that you did needs to be redone, and that's where it's left. You're obviously going to be like, I'm not just wasting.
What do you want me to do about it?
I'm not just wasting my time and the company's time. There's a reason that, so yeah, it's, definitely interesting because it's normal for us to want to defend ourselves. But yeah, it's no one is ever going to work in a good, productive way when they feel attacked.
Absolutely. And
so
they're going to spend most of their effort trying to defend themselves.
Exactly.
I really like the point you made about sometimes if it's one thing that you did do these slides, you did prepare these slides, for example, and they're being criticized. If they go to, you've done this wrong, obviously you're already going to defend yourself. But if on top of that, it's not because of something that you necessarily did, then you're going to be crazy. It's so often happened to me that I've just thrown some things together, haven't quite finalized it, and have sent the link, and then I've had all of this criticism, and then I'm rushing to like explain myself, hey, I haven't actually finished this yet, rather than actually taking in the information that could be really constructive, because maybe I can take that into account for the slides that I still have to create, you know?
Yeah.
But because I feel attacked, I'm
Yeah,
not taking any of that in.
Absolutely.
So try and be constructive. So if you have something to say, try and give an alternative or some advice or how you think it could be done better or something like that. And if you don't have that, which can happen, like you don't like it, but you don't exactly know why, offer to brainstorm together. Yeah. Like earlier in our group chat, you said, that I'm not too sure, but I don't actually have an alternative. So it's fine for now. By me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then, not making it personal.
And I feel like that's really specific things you can do. So you can make sure that instead of saying you have done this in this way, you can offer, what do you think about this change? What do you think about this suggestion? I feel like we could maybe do this way. Maybe speak with the we. That always helps, because it shows that you're working as a team and that you're not just them against you or
pointing
fingers for you or whatever. Exactly. Yeah. And then on the other side of things, try not to take it personally, because not everyone is as good at communicating as you will now be. Yeah. After this podcast.
After this podcast episode.
So ideally, you need to be that Zen person, which is what I'm currently working on, being that Zen.
Yeah.
I don't care I know it's all about you. It's not about me. I'm just going to take it on and use it constructively. Try and be that person that doesn't take it personally, which is very difficult.
It's very difficult.
Give it a go.
It's very difficult. Have you ever heard of the 4 agreements?
I have. I don't know what it is.
It's basically like these 4 things to kind of like live by to make life easier. And number, I'm pretty sure 2 and 4, I think. Number 2 is never assume. So yeah, just that's always, and it's so easy to do. It's so easy to do, and it leads to so much bad communication. Someone will say something, you assume what they mean rather than asking questions and making sure. You do something, it's not what they meant. Yeah. And as you didn't ask the questions, they also just assume that you understood them correctly. So that's one, which leads to so many problems, like I said at the beginning. And number 4 is don't take things personally. Just in general, if someone does something not very nice, it's not normally because of something you did specifically. I think that's very, very, very small.
Very rarely the case.
Yeah, that is it's just normally you just happen to be there while they were going maybe through something not great. So then they might take it out on you, which is horrible and shouldn't happen. But if it does, normally, try not to take it personally. I mean, I'm terrible. I take everything personally. I'm like, why do they hate me? But it only takes me a minute. And I'm like,
it's something to work on. And that's a really good point. It takes us to the next point. What did you just say? It takes me a minute. So if it's not working, if the conversation isn't being constructive, it's fine to say, and I actually do this quite a lot these days, I'm going to take 5 minutes. Let's talk about this again in 5 minutes or 10 or 15 or 24 hours.
Yeah. I mean, it's that famous thing when you've got like a message that makes you really angry or upset. Don't answer for, is it they say 24 hours or sometimes even 48 hours, depending how angry or upset you are. Because you can say things you'll regret, which is just never, if you are feeling attacked, if you are feeling like not in a good place, it's especially in a work situation when things are even harder to take back and recover from, maybe. I think saying, like you said, can I take 5 minutes or whatever, I think is perfectly valid. Or even saying, I'd rather not talk about this right now. Can we talk about this at a later date? Yeah.
And it's fine. It's honestly always fine to do that. And often, actually, it might make the person you're talking to think about, maybe I should have been a bit more careful, or maybe I can adjust how I said that for the next time that often happens to me.
Yeah.
In this kind of situation. So these were the tips kind of for the people that generally have a tendency to express their opinions quite strongly without necessarily listening to the people that they're having a conversation with, and also the people that are on the other side of that, because I think it can be quite hard. And maybe if we try and do the same thing for the ramblers, if you're listening to a rambler, please try to respect them.
Yeah.
Give them their time.
Yeah.
Maybe have a conversation with them afterwards in private and give them the link to this episode.
Yeah, exactly. That's also what you said there, I think, with lots of things, but especially with anything like this. I think with communication, if there is ever anything that needs to be said, I think doing it in private always helps. For what we're saying, so if someone doesn't feel attacked, like I think it's fine to be constructive about something and be like, I think maybe what went wrong here was a lack of communication on your side. Which is fine.
How you can change that.
And this is how you can change that so that this doesn't happen again for your sake and for our sake.
Yeah.
But that maybe if there is that in a meeting, maybe don't say it in front of everybody else and, take them aside afterwards. I think with anything really, that's just the right thing to do, to never, try and put yourself in their position and see how you would like that to be handled. And have a bit of compassion.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter if you like them or not. If we're talking about getting things done, it's more efficient.
Exactly. In the long run for both of you.
And this is the
topless
case.
father holding onions has just just appeared. Huh? It's Saoirse and we're recording the podcast. He started coming in and now he just ran back outside again.
Oh, come back.
No, he's run away. I think he was about to show you the things he has picked from his garden.
Oh, I want to see what he picked.
There was a really big beetroot and 2 small onions, I think.
Ooh, yum. Sounds good.
It's so funny. I should tell him if it looks like I'm talking into the mic, it's the podcast.
Probably recording a podcast, Dad.
Anyway.
Well, he came at the right time.
Communication there, very important, because if not, he would have showed up topless.
Damn. Topless onion picker. That's the kind of content we need.
Yeah, I know, right? That would help us.
So that's all of the content that I wanted to talk about today. I think biggest message is this is the case for not just the workplace, but also relationships, friendships, any kind of ship. Good communication is honestly just so important. So important.
It saves a lot of confusion and hurt and so much. And it's okay. We're all human and we all make mistakes and it's okay to talk about them. It's okay.
Yeah. So remember the tip, remember the bluff, and remember to listen and be constructive.
Be constructive.
They are the main messages. I do have, I think we've gone on for a bit of a while, like we usually do. I do have some questions. I think we probably covered most of them with our discussion.
Okay.
Okay, this is a good one. How do I ask for feedback without sounding insecure?
Ooh, that is a good one. Maybe if it's communicated to, I guess if it's in an office environment and you're asking a colleague, then it can come from a kind of wanting it to feel like a team kind of thing. And it's just, I'm not sure exactly how I guess just maybe instead of saying, how do you think I should write this? Maybe how do you think we should do this or write this or something? If it's to a client, I think it's just making them feel important. I would love your opinion on this because it means so much to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think that's a really good point. Yeah. I don't think asking for feedback should make you feel insecure. I think you have every right to say, this is what I've worked on and I'm pretty proud of it. Like you don't have to actually explicitly say that, but in the message that you're giving, this is what I've worked on. I'd love to have your input or if you have any suggestions.
Or I'd love to get a second pair of eyes on it if it's a team thing. Like, is there anything you think I've missed? Anything like that, and it's fine. It doesn't have to, like you say, come from an insecure place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I don't think asking for a second opinion makes you seem insecure either.
No.
Obviously, maybe not with everything. Maybe not with every single email you send.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
I guess also, why are you asking for feedback as well? If it's little things and you think it does make you seem insecure, why do you feel like you need to ask for feedback on that? Like, why
go back to the source.
Yeah, the lack of confidence, I guess.
So maybe work on that. But yeah, if you do want to ask for feedback, you can sound confident, but also be open to feedback. Because I think that's a sign of a good team player.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is what I've worked on.
Yeah.
Do you have any? I'd love to have your opinion on it.
Absolutely. I mean, in the creative field, everything is done as a team effort. So it's very normal to be like, okay, first draft, what does everyone think? Like, what have I missed? Is there anything that you think would look better? Or, new set of eyes on something is always good, no matter what it is, I think. So it's okay.
Okay, what else have we got? Okay. How do you communicate boundaries with colleagues without coming off cold?
Ooh. I think maybe if it's like, maybe if you're coming at it from me as a person talking to you as a person, so what happened the other day made me feel like this, and I would rather not feel, it's not something I feel comfortable experiencing at work. I would rather we didn't do this or something like that, maybe. Mm-hmm. I think with a specific example, it would maybe be easier.
Mm-hmm. But I think that's a really good answer. I think talking as, like you say, yourself or person to a person, maybe talk more about in the way to not make them feel attacked and to maybe not sound so cold. Say, hey, this is how I function, and I just wanted to let you know that situation, I wasn't very comfortable and I struggle working in that condition. If you think we could change that in this and that way, that would be great. And I'd really appreciate that, I don't think it has to sound cold. It can just sound, this is how I work.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think something like that very often comes up is when people are maybe, overly sarcastic, and then it can lead to comments that you're like, or very jokey at the office, or like that kind of stuff can just end up getting on your nerves if you're not the kind of person that appreciates that. So I guess also if you communicate it as a general, again, going back to what we were saying before, rather than like it being a like personal attack on something that they've done, it can just be a more general, I would rather like not be like, you did that and it hurt my feelings. It can be, more of a just general, if it,
I work better when people aren't that sarcastic around me. So if you could keep that up, that would be great.
Yeah.
So talk about yourself and how you work.
Tone down the sarcasm about 50%, I'd really appreciate it.
Try and joke about it. I mean,
yeah, exactly. I think humor is always a good way to go about it as well.
It's not, show that you know that it's not coming from a place of bad intentions. It's just not something that you work with very well.
Exactly.
What do I do if my manager always misinterprets what I say?
Again, maybe humor's a good one. And be like, at the beginning of my sentence, be like, before you misinterpret what I'm about to say, this is not what I meant, and this is what I meant. I mean, I guess you have to kind of look at why that's happening. Is it to do with you, or is it to do with them? Is there something that you can change? Or have you tried all the options, all the ways of communicating, and they just still do? Then maybe you can't just, a bit like the boundaries we were just talking about, just say, I feel like whenever I say something, it's taken the wrong way, and I would, it's not efficient communication, and we're having to go around in circles about it. So what can I do? Again, don't make it about them, make it about you. What can I do
to make it clear?
To make it clear so this doesn't keep happening.
I think that's good advice.
Yeah.
It might be all we've got. Yeah, I think the rest of them we've kind of covered. So
Amazing.
Any other questions? Just go
Yeah.
back and listen to the episode.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you've
if
got any
you
questions that we didn't answer, just let us know. We can maybe answer them in a separate one if there's enough, or maybe just at the beginning of the next episode or something.
And give us some good juicy stories about miscommunication because they exist.
Yeah.
And we know
There's
that
bound
there
to be
are so many out there.
So many. So many.
We'd love to
absolutely.
read them out. It would be great.
It would be amazing. It would be hilarious. And I'm sure a lot of people would be able to relate. So
Yeah.
and learn from.
Let's get that
Also,
going.
I don't know. Have we ever mentioned that the podcast is also on YouTube? That people can also see us?
I'm not sure we have.
Well, we're on YouTube.
So if
as
you don't know
well.
what we look like,
Yeah.
then you haven't seen the icon on Spotify.
But yeah, if you want to maybe take another listen to this episode, but with visuals this time, you can head over to our YouTube.
7-hour long episode. How long have we been?
We did record a little bit at the beginning, though, doing other bits. So I'm not
True.
sure what time we
So
actually
we're probably
started.
quite spot on.
Yeah.
So if you have any
Yeah.
stories, send them to us on our social media. You can find us on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. I guess you can
But
leave a comment.
Yeah, you can leave a comment. Yeah, that would be
on a
appreciated.
video.
Yeah. Facebook.
We
We're
Will
also on
Manage
Facebook.
Podcast.
Everything is We Will Manage Podcast. And if you want to send us a message on an email, We Will Manage Podcast. You can also send us a message or leave us a review or anything like that on our website, which is also wewillmanagepodcast.com. And yeah, basically we will manage podcasts wherever and you will find us. And we are also working on something quite exciting that maybe we'll leave to the next one to talk about. But there is also an exciting other platform that we're trying to get on there. We have a funny story for that as well. So join us in the next
That's a bit
episode.
of miscommunication, isn't it?
Yes, definitely some assumptions.
Yeah. So tune in next week to find out what that was.
Yes. And maybe we'll see you around before then in a little mini episode about creating a pitch. We'll see how this conversation goes after after this. So yeah. That was so weird. I could start to hear the outro music in my ears. I was like, wait a minute. I swear I was hearing our outro music.
You're going crazy.
I am going
You have
crazy.
been doing this for too long.
It's been a long day.
Yeah, I understand. Just quickly, what are we talking about next week?
We are talking about building a team, if I remember correctly. We'll be going into the fun and exciting dynamics and everything that involves creating a team and working as a team and all of that fun
Can't
stuff.
wait.
So see you next week.
So tune in next week.
Bye.